Wow. I don't know what to say about that. It blows my
Oh,
mind the things that people do.
as wildlife carers, we witness just horrendous acts of animal cruelty to kangaroos. So
Which
I've seen
is
I've seen a
super
lot.
interesting. Super interesting, being
It
that's
is
what we're
super
talking about.
interesting. I know. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
Um, so yeah, back to what we were saying before. I think, start again. When I said, the outpouring of support for you has been enormous this week, and like everyone is just expressing the deepest gratitude for all that you've done for 11 years, and also, um, you know, collective shock and concern over what happened last week with your conviction in
Yeah.
Katoomba Court, um, where basically, if anyone doesn't know, the RSPCA, who were referred by wires, were successful in their case against you to have you convicted with aggravated cruelty.
That's
And
correct.
we, like, I, I think, even though I know that you were prepared for that, but everybody
I
was
was. Yes.
everybody was still stunned and
Yeah.
sickened by it, and continue to be so.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have this conversation because there's been speculation and a lot that probably you haven't been able to say, up until now, and it's been a
Yeah.
really long process for you and very traumatic.
It's been 4 years, and 8 days. I think it's.
Yeah. So,
It's been a long time.
and really the potential for this to happen to any member of the
Yes.
community now is very
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So there's an enormous amount of concern. People are feeling really vulnerable,
Yeah.
and so I think it's a really good conversation to have, so that
It
people
is.
are fully informed about what happened,
Yeah.
and can understand, you know, or can't even understand. Like
Um,
it's mind blowing to me when I read the timeline of events, um, that how they even came to that conclusion.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's rocked the whole community, and I think this has implications and potential ramifications for the wildlife rescue community Australia wide, both carers and
Absolutely.
rescuers, and
Absolutely.
everybody
Yes.
needs to be concerned about
Yes.
this and thinking about where to from here.
Yes.
So the other thing I wanted to say is that um, we're not out to defame anyone, and any
No.
names that are
No.
mentioned in this have already been made public, either in online articles or any whatever paper,
Yes.
journo articles. So it's simply stating facts. We're not making anything up. We're not
Yes. That's correct.
um, we're not victimizing
No.
anybody.
No.
We're just talking about what happened. Um,
Yeah.
so, and we're mindful also that you're, for
My
being
sentence
sentenced
is.
next month.
I'm being
So
sentenced next month.
yeah,
So yes.
and we want the best outcome for that. So we're having this conversation with that in mind.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it'd be really nice, as an intro, just to give your background.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
whatever you'd like to say, just go for
Yeah.
it.
So I just want to start because not everybody is familiar with the wildlife care world and how it operates. So national parks and wildlife, who look after all the animals in Australia and the national parks, issue licenses, and they issue licenses to wildlife care groups only, so not to individuals. So if you want to become a wildlife carer in New South Wales, you must belong to a wildlife care group. And there's many little groups throughout New South Wales. Uh, yeah, so they do your licensing for you. And where was I going with that? Uh, I joined a small wildlife group 12 years ago, and then moved on to join WIRES, which is a larger wildlife group which covers most of the state, in 2016. And I've been rehabilitating macropods, so just kangaroos, for 12 years, and pretty much without a break. So it's been a pretty consistent 12 years. And that's me. Yeah, that's me.
And you're also an artist, yeah?
I'm an artist, yes. I've
Yeah.
been an artist since 1986, which makes me 104. Yeah.
So you juggle those two things, like
I do. So
obviously.
I work from home, and I thought, what can I do as a volunteer from home? And wildlife care seemed to be a really great thing, and it has been the most wonderful experience. And I've changed the lives of many, many kangaroos, and I hope I help quite a few carers in their journey. So it's a very steep learning curve with kangaroos. They're incredibly complicated animals. They get a lot of diseases, and they hide their disease as well. And it takes a lot of skill and knowledge to know what's going on with kangaroos. And I don't know them myself after all this time. I have a lot to learn. So,
Having said that, though, you're one of our most experienced carers in your area.
In my area, I'm deferred to by a lot of people and asked.
I think the comment that I heard, I've got so many notes here, but the nucleus of knowledge. I like that one.
Knowledge. Yes, that's my friend Tia calls me that. A lot of people randomly just tell me what's going on with the kangaroos so that I can store that information away in my big sponge of a brain, and then when the next time a kangaroo is exhibiting those symptoms, I can say that is XYZ, and then you know what to ask the vet for, because often they're not exhibiting those symptoms when they go to the vet. They're only exhibiting them when they're at home and they're in pleasure or something, and it's really hard to diagnose kangaroos. So yeah, I do have a lot of knowledge of those weird little diseases and the weird things that they do when they have them.
So how many brews do you think have been in your care over that time?
I can't even estimate a number. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
Well, hundreds and hundreds of rescues as well. Most of them, so unfortunately, as wildlife carers, most of what we do is euthanasia, because they've obviously been called in suffering, usually hit by car or attacked by dog or some other horrendous upsetting thing.
So much trauma witnessed by you.
So much trauma witnessed by all our wildlife carers, all our rescuers.
Yeah.
And I have to say, as I was saying at the beginning, we are all volunteers. So nobody gets paid for what we do. And when you ring a wildlife care service, for example, NARM or Sydney Metropolitan Wildlife Service, any of those wildlife rescue places, a volunteer comes eventually. And they're very, very, very thin on the ground, and we have jobs and we have families, and we try our best to get there as soon as possible.
I think that's a really important point, that a lot of people don't realise that there is no government funding for wildlife carers. So they're fully self-funded, and that includes everything.
So it includes everything. If you're lucky enough to do birds, you just need to buy a small aviary or flight aviary. With macropods, it's a considerably larger outlay because they need a lot of space. So you're talking a lot of money to build enclosures for macropods. So,
yeah, there's so much involved, so much expense, and in terms of financial, psychologically, emotionally, physically, like the load is huge, and it's 24/7. It's not something that you can just take a break from.
It's Christmas Day, your birthday, whatever. Yeah, it happens.
So let's go back to 14th of October 2020, when we were when we were in the guts of COVID. So it was even, it was exponentially harder to be doing these things.
It was. So you're referring to the day that macropod coordinator rescued a eastern grey kangaroo from a fence
Yep.
in the southwest of Sydney, and took her to the animal hospital there, and she was seen by a vet, x-rayed, the wounds were treated, the vet released the animal. She released the animal into the care of a rehabilitator, which was me, and yeah, so I received into my care an eastern grey kangaroo. There was no expectation from the vet to go back for checkups. So as an experienced wildlife carer, you're just given the animal and you make the judgment of when it needs to go back to the vet. So she came into my care and I treated her for her wounds, bandage changes every 2 days. I had the assistance of the vet nurse, so she comes down. She's studying wildlife health through Taronga, so she comes and helps me. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, go for it.
You just, yeah. So just rehabilitation is something that I've done for, so adults, I've been rehabilitating since 2018. We had a lot of kangaroos during the bushfires with birds, obviously. So I've had a lot of experience working with vets, treating wounds and injuries. Yeah, sorry, it makes me quite anxious. I get a bit stressed about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's in my care. She's doing really well. Her wounds are healing. She's just recumbent at this time, so she's being turned and eating grass and doing the kangaroo. I change her bandages every 4 days. And then at the end of January, one of her wounds, I was a little bit worried about her wound, so I took her to the vet, and the vet did a vet check of the animal, and she prescribed me an antibiotic and asked me to come back if it didn't heal. So I did that, and I gave her the antibiotic, and the wounds healed, and I didn't see it was necessary to go back, and that's to that point.
Mm.
She wasn't unusual in her care, so her wounds just sort of like textbook wound healing. There wasn't any need for debriding. So debriding is when the skin dies and it needs to be cut away by a vet. That didn't happen. Her wounds, like some of them just don't need debriding. I don't know why that is, because I'm not a vet. So she was just going along, and she was a very even temperament kangaroo, very happy in care. Kangaroos, the biggest killer of kangaroos is stress. And when they're in care, I think it's proof that she's doing well because she wasn't stressed, and she's doing really well. Yeah. Anyway.
So, yeah. So she was an adult kangaroo,
she's
right?
a young adult.
Yeah. Yeah. And my understanding of Aru that suffered that sort of injury and isn't able to mobilise normally,
yes.
like a human who's been in a car accident and would very quickly lose muscle mass when they're lying in bed. Same sort of thing happens, yeah?
Yes, they do. They
so that would be a normal progression in the early weeks of care, or even months.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Fence injury kangaroos take as long as they take. So you cannot, when you rescue an animal from a fence, you can't put a timeline on it.
Yep.
Because some kangaroos will heal in 3 months, some kangaroos will take a year. And you don't know that when you first rescue that kangaroo.
Yep.
So you just go forward, and if that kangaroo is improving daily or weekly, then you're going forwards. And if at some point they plateau or they start going backwards, then you make the decision to take them to the vet, and you talk about what's going on, and they either, I don't know, ask you to continue or euthanasia, which is just how it is.
Yeah. And if
So
you felt that that was the best course of action, you undoubtedly would have made that decision, as hard as it would have
I
been.
have made that decision many, many times, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to do, but you kind of just know, and you can see with the kangaroo, like, it's like they give up. It's like
Yeah.
they don't. It's just they don't try and stand anymore. They're not. Yeah. So she was a very enthusiastic stander. I used to. So she was unable to stand because of her tendon damage at the beginning of her rehabilitation.
Which is also quite normal
It's
because
very
of this
normal.
sort of injury,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So they have ridiculously long legs, and they have these long tendons, and when they're stretched hanging from a fence, they have their body weight hanging off their feet, and the tendons in their feet are stretched. So when you cut them out of the fence, the tendons don't just shrink back instantly. It takes months and months and months and months for that to happen. So therefore, they tuck their feet. When they stand, they bring their feet up, and they tuck their knees up to their chest, and they push themselves up. And that's how they stand up, and they sort of flop their tail backwards and use that as like a counterbalance and go backwards. And so they're unable to tuck their feet up, so therefore they can't stand. So if you stand them into upright position like a tripod, they'll quite happily stand there. So my kangaroo, at the beginning, she would just stand for a few minutes, and then time would go to half an hour, and then at the end she was standing for 45 minutes. So that's the usual. That's usually what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's just obviously getting better and better, and standing and doing her shuffling. First thing they do is learn to walk backwards, which people don't think kangaroos walk backwards, but that's what they do a lot of. So she was doing her little backward shuffle, and yeah, it's the long process.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So she was in care for around about or just over 3 months when.
Yeah. So she came in October, and she was seized by the RSPCA the 8th of March.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was that? 2020.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah.
Okay. And then anyway, keep going with the story. So she was in care, and she got to the 3-month mark, and it's part of WIRE's protocol that if an animal's been in care for 3 months, then they might ask you for a review.
That's correct. So when you join WIRE's, you tick the acknowledge button, and it says one of the terms and conditions is that you'll have a review of your animal if it's been in care for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I can't remember that. And I'm not very good at reading the small print of things. So
yeah.
I can't quite remember that. But it is written there. And that's fine. I think it's great that they review people's animals. It should be done more often.
Yeah. Like was there anything that kind of prompted them to do that you're aware of, or was it just?
No, I'm not aware of that, anything at all. I don't know if it was just a paperwork issue, or I really don't know. Yeah. So
she was making good recovery, and
well, I thought she was. She was slow. I've had them come and go. Fence injuries come and go in 3 months. I've had them come and go in a couple of weeks. It's really dependent on the size of the animal and the length of time hanging in the fence. So she would have got there in the end.
Yeah.
Given a little bit more time.
Yeah. But then you were contacted by the WIRE's
member,
by Annette Dixon, who was the WIRE's volunteer support manager.
I was contacted by the WIRE's volunteer support manager and asked if I was available for a Zoom meeting about my in-care animal.
Yep.
And as I said, absolutely. And we had a Zoom meeting. And
And that was
They spoke.
attended by Annette, the Wires Animal Welfare Officer, Zoe Harrison Little.
That's correct. Yeah.
The RSPCA vet, Dr. or Prof. David Phelan.
That's correct. Yes.
And Vicky Lett, who's a WISE board member and part of the large mammals management
That's
team.
correct. Yeah. So Professor David Phelan he's not the RSPCA vet. He was the head of Camden Wildlife Hospital for many years. He's a very respected vet within the wildlife community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know about
his specialty is actually birds, though, right? Not macropods.
Yes, he's come from America as a bird vet.
Yep.
To Australia. He works with the Koala Hub. Does a lot of research on diseases in animals. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
but macropods are not his specialty.
Not according to his bio. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never interacted with him, so
okay.
I couldn't say.
So they asked you for a meeting, and then Annette set up a Zoom call. So you went ahead with that.
Yes, we went ahead with that, and I spoke about my pet animals, what I've been treating her with, and what managed changes, and what my thoughts were on her prognosis.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you took video and photos and complied with whatever they asked you to do?
I did, yes. I took photos and sent them through. And then, so that was on the 24th of February. That was on the 24th of February.
Yep.
And then I didn't hear anything. And
so at the time of that meeting, they didn't express any concerns. They didn't really give you feedback at all.
Nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I've explained everything about my kangaroo, and they obviously were happy because I was happy, and nobody's ever said anything.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, Monday morning we were having our morning coffee, and I had my kangaroo out. She was standing out in the sun, in the morning sun, and I had her out. I was watching her having my tea because I don't drink coffee. My cup of green tea, and I was watching her, and the wires van arrived at my house, and the RSPCA ute, and it was a terrible shock.
And this is 2 weeks after your Zoom meeting, also.
Yeah, just under 2 weeks.
So you heard nothing for 2 weeks, and then they just showed up this day.
They did. That's correct.
Yeah. So that was Zoe Harrison Little.
That's correct. Yeah.
And David Phelan.
That's correct. And
the RSPCA. Tony Crocker.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So he just advised me that he was here to seize my animals, and that he was going to record everything on his body worn footage on his camera. And they questioned me for about half an hour about my animal, and then they made the decision to take her away. And then I didn't hear anything for 11 months and 1 week. And then I get a summons to court saying I've been accused of aggravated animal cruelty. And then I spent the next 3 years in court. And oh goodness, 3 years in court. And I thought it was going to be over on the first day. It was in November, and I thought I'll just go in and explain what I was doing. And then 3 years later, court is not like the movies. I've never been to a courtroom. I've never even had a speeding ticket. I'm one of those embarrassingly good people that always stop signs and people honk at me. I had no idea what to expect, and it's very long and drawn out and quite boring. In fact, for legal speak, I've learned a lot. Yes.
Yeah. the other thing is of note that you didn't have a jury throughout your case.
It's not a, yeah. When do you have a jury?
I don't know, but
25th. I don't
someone
know.
did raise that point.
Oh,
Did you have a jury? And I
no,
said
there's
no.
no jury.
So
It's just
so
a
it's basically
magistrate. Yeah,
your barrister, their barrister, and team,
yeah, yeah,
and both sides
yeah.
bringing their evidence. And this is where this falls down completely. Like there are so
No,
many things
no.
wrong with that whole process.
Yeah.
Not just the court, but backing up a little bit, the handling of your Roo at the time when she was seized, or the mishandling, I should say.
Oh, that was shocking.
Yeah. And we can all, we don't have to go into detail, but
I don't want to.
yeah,
I don't need to talk about that. Yeah,
no,
I just.
but
It's pretty traumatic for everybody, and
yeah,
stuffing a kangaroo into feet first into a Hessian sack is just not going to work.
that was what I was referring to,
Yeah,
and like
and
a vet who knows macropods should know that
and
you can't do that.
but then you just think, well, he just knew he was going to euthanize her, so he didn't really care, did he? Whether
Yeah,
she was suffocating in a sack. Anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then 4 years in court and
3 years in court.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and multiple hearings, months apart.
Months apart, and that's not anybody's fault. It's I think the whole legal system is overloaded, and that's availability of the magistrate is only every 6 months or so. So, it was very long and drawn out. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
the two vets who were involved in her care early on, the one who saw her initially and x-rayed her, and then the one that you took her to when she developed that minor infection, were both subpoenaed, and neither of them attended court.
So the first vet, the initial consulting vet, was subpoenaed to appear in court.
Yep.
She chose not to come, and we also subpoenaed the owner of the vet practice who does see wildlife a lot. He agreed to come to court. He obviously changed his mind for whatever reason. He was subpoenaed and didn't come. And then the other consulting vet, we couldn't find her actually. She had moved on, maybe back overseas. I'm not sure where she went. So we did because fence injury kangaroos are very specific, are a very very specific type of care they need. Not everybody can do them because it's a long stint of care and requires skill. And there is a wildlife hospital in New South Wales who specialise in fence injury kangaroos, and they do training sessions for wildlife carers.
It's Possumwood, yeah?
And they are called Possumwood. And I asked if the two people who run Possumwood could come and be my expert witnesses because they have rehabilitated more than 2,000 fence injury kangaroos. So
over 20 years, so they know what they're talking about.
I would have thought so. Yeah. And because they get a lot of things that, anyway, they came all the way to court, God bless them. They drove all the way for 5 hours to court, and they waited all day, and they were sent home. And then the prosecution denied them as expert witnesses because they're not vets.
Which is interesting because they run a wildlife hospital and they work with vets. So why then would they not call one of the vets who's an expert in that field from there to give evidence?
I don't know.
I'm just curious. It's just my thought. Like that would be a logical next step if you don't want to talk to the people who actually do it, who are carrying out the daily care, who work with vets all the time. Then call one of the vets who's also an expert.
Yeah, well, it just didn't happen like that.
Mm.
But the law is kind of, it's slow moving and confusing, and you can have an idea like that, but then enacting it, so you have to get all these things. It didn't work. So we went with another vet who is quite famous in Australia as a wildlife vet, called Dr. Howard Ralph, and he agreed to be my expert witness. And unfortunately, he was in hospital. So we got a extension hoping he would come out of hospital, and a few in court that he was unable, didn't come out of hospital. Well, he has come out of hospital, but he was not able to come to court. So we had to close our case without having our expert witnesses appear.
So was there any prospect of postponing it so that he could eventually?
We'd already had one postponement, and that was very kind of the prosecution to allow us to do that. But,
yeah. And they wouldn't allow another one?
I don't think it was asked for. I'm not sure.
Yep. Okay. So that was that. Basically.
Yeah, that was that. So I did have 3 wonderful witnesses who came as characters. So I had a whole day in court with my character witnesses. So they were just talking about my good character, and they were wonderful. And
then I was there that day. I remember that one.
Yeah, and then I had a full day in court where I was on the witness stand for 5 hours. The prosecution was asking me questions. It was a big day. It was traumatic. Yes. Yeah, so this is why I had to get a guilty. I mean, I can't say this is why I had to get a guilty, but obviously I didn't have expert witnesses to rip off the RSPCA vet who was giving his witness statement. Yeah.
So basically they've, on a technicality, largely, they've convicted you.
No, it's not technicality. It's
no.
I mean that's the way courts trials are run. You know, you have your expert witness giving their evidence, and then the prosecution has their expert witness, and then the defense has their expert witness, and then the magistrate balances out and decides, makes their decision.
Yeah.
And if I don't know, I keep thinking, could have done this and we could have done that, and we could have got $1 million law firm, $1 billion law firm.
Yeah.
And it probably would have come out differently, and I didn't, and and it's probably me being naive and stupid.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
So was there concern over you not taking the animal back to the vet? Because, like, according to the it's the OEH that you follow, isn't it? Just
so when you look after animals, we have a body called the Office of Environment and Heritage, and they write codes for each animal species, and so they've written a code for the macropods, and it will tell you what size enclosures to have, and handling of species and all those sorts of information. Yes. Is that your question?
I was just thinking though that it's actually, I'm just trying to find where I read it. That according to the OEH code, an experienced fauna rehabilitator can assess an animal and make the decision on whether or not to take to the vet.
That's correct.
So so you made it really clear that if you felt that you needed to, and you did, when she developed this minor infection.
Yes.
So if there, like that doesn't make sense to me that was potentially part of the charge, that you failed to take the animal to the vet because you did.
That was the charge, was failure to take to the vet.
It was the charge.
Yeah.
But you did take the animals to the vet.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one thing.
Not enough time.
Oh, okay.
So Professor,
even though as an experienced wildlife rehabilitator, you're given the ability to make that decision. Like, that's just totally contradictory.
And then yeah. And then the wise, the training manual, the coordinator manual says, please avoid vet visits as much as possible because of the stress on the animal.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've gone, you've done the right thing by both codes.
Oh, well, yes.
Yes. Just trying to get my head around it.
Just you can question yourself. So every time you have an animal in your care, you could just continuously question the decision-making process.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
if you do that over, and I had an animal in care just recently, and he was X-rayed, and he was told to come home and be rehabilitated. And then I thought, what if they missed something in the X-ray? Shall I go to another vet and get him X-rayed again? What if they missed something? What if they didn't X-ray his big toe and his big toe's broken?
Yeah.
But they missed that, and I didn't realize he's got a big broken toe. And then the RSPCA come, and then he's got a broken toe, and then it just you go round and round and round and round in circles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know where to go. And you have a decision-making tree, and you're like, well, I have it written down. If this happens, you do this. If they're, I don't know.
And the other thing is you're in constant contact.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's all relevant because you're always also discussing these things with other people and bouncing ideas off each other, and you're mentoring, you're getting advice from other people. So it's not like you're making these decisions on your own.
No, 100%. We're sending videos and all sorts of information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a collaborative effort looking after animals. We've got this knowledge bank that we rely on. So
the other things that were picked up on was her poor body condition, I believe.
Yeah.
So
she was recumbent. She was recumbent for a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry that she was not a robust and healthy girl, but she would have put back on weight since she started hopping.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
And the fact is, with wildlife rescue, you're not taking in healthy mobile animals generally into care. They're sick or they're injured, and they need time to recuperate and recover and rehabilitate and gain back their muscle strength. So that's to be expected.
Well, I would say that you would expect an injured animal to not be 100%.
Yeah. Two other things that were mentioned were her parasite load. And
that was a concern. Yeah.
But that's also pretty normal for macropods, right?
Macropods have a really high parasite load. Naturally, that's why they're extremely efficient at digesting. They're foregut fermenters, so they're extremely efficient at digesting.
So they're actually a beneficial part of the microbiome.
So they have a what's called a symbiotic relationship, which you probably know all about. Symbiotic relationship with They have a lot of protozoa and fungi. So you'll find that. Oh, I'm so happy talking about how amazing kangaroos are. I can go on for hours. You'll find swamp wallabies. 17% of their diet is fungus and mushrooms. It's so fascinating. They also eat meat as well. But anyway, they have a very, very, very delicate gut biome.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be messing with that if you don't really want to. I mean, if you don't have to.
By giving them anti-parasitic drugs.
Anti-parasitics and anti-protozoans. Protozoas. Yeah. So obviously, if they're showing symptoms of worm burden, which is diarrhea, it can be jaundice if it's a liver fluke. There's all these different symptoms that you look out for. So in hindsight, now I'm worming all my kangaroos because I'm just always terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The other thing that they picked up on necropsy was that she had a fused fracture.
She did. She had a fused fracture above her hock. So who knows if the original consulting vet saw the fracture and decided it was not important to her rehabilitation, or maybe she missed it in the x-ray, and we'll never know because she didn't come to court. So
nor did they bring in an orthopedic specialist to give his take on whether that was old or...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So the fact that
So
she was standing and moving quite normally, and I was giving her physio. I was taught by a physio, an animal physio, how to do physio on kangaroos. He specifically taught me. So I was doing full range of movement on all of her limbs. Plus, when you stand them up, you make them lean over, and then they put pressure on that side of their body, and then you make them lean to the other side, and they put pressure on the other side, and then you make them move upwards, and then they stretch their hamstrings. So it's a full range of movement. So I just would presume, therefore, that she would that it was unimportant. I don't know. I'm not a vet. And maybe, who knows? Who knows what was going on? Maybe that's why she got caught in a fence, because she was limping. Maybe she wasn't a really very mobile kangaroo. Maybe she tried to hop a fence and got caught. And who knows? You could think up lots of stories.
It's impossible to say when you haven't seen them pre-care.
Well, I know.
Really.
This is the thing about parasite loads. So if I had have tested her feces the day she came in, and then they had have tested it 3 months later, we would have seen a difference in the fecal load.
Yeah.
So you don't know what her fecal load was when she came in. Well, I don't,
of course,
because I didn't test it. But maybe we should all be testing fecal loads now, as well as taking them to the vet every week, as recommended by the expert witness.
Which is not recommended in the code, though.
No, the code suggests. Well, the code doesn't say anything about vet visits.
And the other thing about that, taking them to the vet, was during COVID, it was difficult
it was
for you
very,
to
very, very difficult.
see a vet.
Yeah.
And you were saying that the was it Camden vet was expecting you to take roos and put them in dog cages out the front with dogs?
No.
Another one.
No, Camden shut. Camden shut for 3 years, I think.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They had problems getting staff. That's our wildlife hospital. So we didn't have access to the wildlife hospital. Our only wildlife vet was a 4-hour drive on a Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. So the only option is to take them to the dog and cat vet locally. Yeah. And we had to leave the animal, because ordinarily I would go in with my kangaroo because I don't want to let them out of my sight.
Yeah, of course.
We had to just leave them in the cages with the dogs and the cats. And I don't want to leave a prey animal next to an apex predator.
No.
It's just not, it doesn't sit right with me. And,
no.
And the stress of going to the vet, it takes them weeks. It takes them at least a week to recover from going to the vet.
Yep.
I think that's unnecessary. But now I'm rethinking that, because I'm thinking that there need to be multiple x-rays of everything, and multiple vet visits, and fecal floats, and worming, and all these things, which makes it quite impossible, really.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially if I only have one kangaroo in my care, so she's getting all my attention. I was fussing over her. No, I wasn't. She's a lovely kangaroo.
Yeah, you were just doing what you do.
She was so lovely. I used to stand her up and she used to kiss me. She got like this, because she was so excited about standing. She was like the best thing ever. She'd stand up and then she'd stand there for hours looking all little happy little thing. Yeah, so if you've got 15 kangaroos in your care, which is not unusual, and you have to take them to the vet every week, how are you ever going to do anything else in life?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yep.
How is that amount of sedation as well? When you think about, you have to go to the vet, you have to get sedation for your animal, you go back, you sedate your animal, you take your animal to the vet, and then it takes a toll on the kidneys and the renal system, which is already compromised.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the suggestion was that the vet should come to the carer's property, which is a really bad idea. And anyway, it's just it's difficult.
Well, you'd struggle to get one anyway, wouldn't you?
I've never ever had a vet come to my property.
Yeah.
And no vet wants to see you every week. They don't have time. There's a vet shortage in this country. We don't have access to vets. Wise doesn't have a wildlife hospital. They don't pay for vets. All the other little wildlife groups, they don't have vets except for Sydney Wildlife. And they've been funding, and they built this little vet hospital. They don't call it a hospital. They call it triage van or something. And they have like 9 amazing retired vets in there helping wildlife.
Yeah.
All for free.
Wow.
All for free.
Yeah.
And they see all the wild animals and all my animals. And it's a 2.5-hour drive for me, but I don't care. I'll go down there.
Because a couple
So
of the vets closer to you had refused to see wildlife because they had outstanding bills with wires, which weren't being paid.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which seems incredible to me, given that they still have $70 million in the bank from the over 100 million that they accumulated from donations, after the bushfires in 2020. So it's not
my position in life to know what to do with money. I mean, that's not.
Excuse me.
I don't know anything about money, and that's for them to figure out. And if that, but I think
But you have spent literally tens of thousands of your own money doing this.
More than tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And helping others as well.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, if I had a vet up the road from me who was a wildlife vet and I had access to him or her, life would be a lot different. It would be a lot easier. And
excuse me,
it would just solve all our problems, really, because for animal health.
And so you should have. We need more expert vets in wildlife, because there are very few, right?
Yeah, there's very few. Because
excuse me, sorry.
Training, you should have pineapple juice. Training in wildlife for vets is very, very, very minimal. I think it's maybe even 1 day of training. So unless they choose to further their education, they just
because we've got Byron Bay Wildlife Hospital, which has vets who specialise there, but they're also not funded by Wise.
No, they're self-funded. Yeah.
Which is crazy. The government needs to get on board and start, funding wildlife rescue. It just seems ridiculous that there's no support whatsoever when it's such a hard job.
Yeah.
And it is a job.
It is such a hard job.
It's a calling, absolutely, and it's voluntary, but it's also so demanding in so many ways. And it's time that the government supported that.
Yeah. Can we segue into carer health?
Absolutely.
That is like one of my favorite subjects, apart from kangaroos, is looking after carers and wildlife rescuers' mental health. Because we witness horror every day and we make decisions. We have to make decisions on euthanasias and we make terrible. It's traumatic, unbelievably traumatic. And and we need to do better.
I think it was really sad to hear, I think it was the end of last year, that Wild Talk, which is the only specialist service
for
anyone that volunteers or works in wildlife rescue, was able to call Wild Talk
for free.
And
anytime,
get the expert support that they needed. And they have applied for funding from multiple avenues, including Wise, and have been turned down at every one of those. Wise instead recommends that wildlife carers call Black Dog, I think
That's
it is.
Correct.
Who are not specialists in wildlife, so they have no clue on the level of trauma that you all go through.
It's a very sad day when Wild Talk closed. I've seen Frances work her magic on some of my wildlife carers, and when I say mine, I mean I mentor macropod carers, and if they have some traumatic event, which is usually a death, I get them to call Francis, and I've seen just miracles with giving them coping mechanisms for dealing with grief, and it's a real loss. It is a real
Absolutely,
loss. Yeah.
absolutely. And you've mentored people from like across Australia as well as America, right?
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah.
So you would have heard countless stories and had
Yeah.
to provide support on top of what you
Yeah.
are exposed to
That's okay.
on a daily
I'm
basis.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not trained as a counsellor or obviously psychologist or anything, and
No, but by
yeah, I
default, you
don't.
all support
Yeah,
each other and
we
talk
do.
about these
We
things,
do.
don't
But having
you?
a professional, actually, when you speak to a professional, it is very different to talking to a mate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because you don't actually have to talk about the event. You talk around it, and then you talk about what you would have done, and it's really interesting. And then you learn how to cope with it and do better next time. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think we need a lot more support for
We do.
wildlife
We do,
carers
for
across the
sure.
country.
Yeah.
You know, late last year, Wires effectively expelled a third of its membership.
I heard that. Yeah,
Because
I'm not a part of Wise anymore, so
yeah,
I never was interested in the politics, and
yeah,
it's great that people are, and I really respect people that understand what's going on. It's fantastic. So good on you, and I'm sorry that those people left, but they could join other smaller wildlife groups. There's other places that they can go.
Well, some of them can, but some of them can't because of their geography. But it's more,
That's
you
correct.
know,
Yeah.
the fact that now wildlife carers are feeling like this is like doing this job or this voluntary role brings with it now enormous risk.
It
They're
does.
feeling really
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's feeling too big. They're feeling unrepresented and
Yeah.
unsupported, not so much by their own, but by the organizations under whom they're working.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
I can see that.
just seems crazy to me that like at no point during your 4 years did you have a call from the welfare officer asking, are you okay?
I've never had a call from the welfare officer. Anybody from Wires actually, except the publicity officer asking me to take photos during the bushfires.
Which they use to fundraise.
Yeah.
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 But
No,
and
I'm not.
I know that you resigned from them and went
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
But
So I'm licensed with a different group.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't, not one of them called you
No.
to
Ever.
give you any support.
No. So we had a team of two people in the fire grounds for a long time, and then we had many more join us, and then slowly we had this massive team come in, and we were there every single day for 3 months, and nobody ever asked if I was okay, and can we help? What do you need? It was, yeah, you learn to be very independent and self-sufficient, and you rely on your carer network of other carers because no help's coming from anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And animals suffer because of it as well. So it's traumatic.
100%. And the more people that leave, of course, the more animals that suffer, the longer cases, the longer animals sit on the side of a road waiting for that case to be picked up because they refer to it as a case, you know, like the level of suffering is mind-blowing. And then you compare that to what you were doing in rehabilitating this beautiful kangaroo. None of this makes sense at all.
It doesn't make much sense to me. No. Especially when as a macropod rescuer, we see humans do horrible things to kangaroos. I don't know why. We just have hatred for them, and they do horrible things to them, and
they get away with it. That's the sickening thing.
and sometimes we know exactly who did it, and I can guarantee that nothing's been done about it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So
that's heartbreaking.
I have my theories, but why do you think they picked on you? Like,
Oh,
why did
I
you
don't know.
become that person?
I don't.
Because I know that around the same in the same year, there were several other people who were
Yeah,
um,
that's what's so
going
sad.
through
Yeah,
reports to the
yeah.
RSPCA, and yet for some reason none of those progressed to court, but yours did.
Oh, one of them was very clever in getting a very large law firm to write a letter,
Uh-huh.
and then they scurried away. And um, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't
Mm.
know the answer. I really
Well,
don't. I think I will say I think people are concerned when you rehabilitate an adult animal. They think that it's cruel, only because they don't know any different. And I live with kangaroos and I know what they're like in care as adults, and they're absolutely fine. And if they're not, then they're not going to make it, and they're going to be euthanized. So
yeah,
they are really, really good in care. They do really well. They love it.
yeah,
Sometimes they. I know another rescuer who does adult kangaroos, and she rehabilitates them and releases them, and then they won't leave.
yeah.
And
I've
they'll just
seen
be
that.
there. They'll just be there. They'll just be standing there and be
Oh,
like 100
yeah,
kilo, 7 foot Eastern Grey. I'm not
yeah.
leaving. And
Independent,
she's like,
and they
yeah,
can, but
oh
they
yeah,
just they
they
just
just
choose
don't.
to hang
Yeah,
around because they, you build a
yeah,
rapport with them
yeah,
and connection, and
yeah.
that's
So
like home.
you cannot say that adult animals don't do well in care, and I think that that's a misconception, and I believe that that may be why,
Yeah.
because they want to stop that happening. Which,
One
from an animal
one
welfare, if you don't understand from an animal welfare point of view, that maybe is a concern. So
mm,
you should maybe talk to your carer and get the down low, and maybe they need to go to Possumwood and see their rehabilitation areas and their success rate. Yeah.
yeah. One interesting theory that's been brought up is that ultimately, Wise being the largest organisation, animal rescue organisation in the country, is changing their business model. So
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
they they are they've indicated a change of direction
Mm-hmm.
towards a more centralized approach. So they're looking
Yes.
at purchasing species specific facilities. So they've already
Okay.
bought a raptor
Yeah.
facility,
Yeah.
and they financially support a koala facility in Currumbin, I
Yeah.
think it is,
Yeah.
and
Great.
they're looking at
Yeah.
others. So, like, it's not impossible to believe that they actually are moving towards a model where they don't have
Yeah.
carers, and they
Yeah.
particularly they
Yeah.
don't have home
Yeah.
carers, where they're going to have these facilities
Yeah.
with paid staff who look
Yeah.
after a smaller group of animals, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to
Yeah.
enable them to still fundraise because they're still basically supporting the rehabilitation of wildlife.
So what happens in an area, for example, the Central West covers, probably 500 kilometers from one side to the other. You can't have a centralized care system there because you have animals that are from this massive geographic
Yeah.
area. How does that work? It's
Well,
what it is: a centralized care versus home-based care. Home-based care,
it just means that that there's
yeah.
going to be a whole lot more animals who are going to be euthanized, right?
Well, show me
Potentially.
how it's going to work. So how is it going to work?
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It might work in if you one small tiny community and you have several. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. How do you do
Mm.
kangaroos in a place like that? You can't do kangaroos there. Kangaroos have to be one-on-one cared for. You can't have multiple carers for one kangaroo. It'd freak them out. It
Yeah.
wouldn't work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perhaps they don't understand that.
Well, they need to figure that out. Who have they
Mm.
communicated with? Have they discussed that with anybody?
Good questions.
I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know any other
Mm.
species very well, so I'm presuming that with birds it would maybe work. You would have a bird, and people would come and help the bird in the centralized facility, and then you would release the bird.
Mm.
So that would
Mm.
work, maybe.
But
I don't.
really, we all know realistically that's not going to work.
I don't
And
know. I really
that's
don't
not
know.
what this country needs. Like, you
No,
know, in order to, in order to, it's just, yeah, it's just
it
unfathomable that could
is.
be the direction they're taking, but
Yeah.
it seems to be
Oh,
because
yeah.
they are completely, in my view, unsupportive of the very people who are keeping them afloat and who are actually
Yeah.
doing the work. So
That's yeah. That's a truth. You've just spoken that. That is very, very, very true.
it's
And
mind
we
blowing.
witness that. Yeah, we witness that every day. The lack of support, no communication,
Mm.
absolutely no communication. I was going to say something. Roads.
Sorry, I probably threw you off track.
No, no. I was going to say, what about roadside euthanasias, which is a big part of a really big part of macropods
Hmm.
is roadside euthanasias, and uh, we can do better with roadside euthanasias. Yeah, especially
This,
with the
this,
PTSD that's suffered by people that perform it.
yeah,
Where's the help with those?
yeah,
Anyway, we're moving on to something new.
yeah, we are.
What are we talking about now?
Back to you. So, where
Back to
to from
me.
here?
Back to
Mm,
me.
yep,
I have to wait till the 9th of April for my sentencing,
yep,
and I realise the amount of stress that I suffer. I wanted to circle back to mental health after this.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So every time I have an animal in my care, which is all the time, frequently, uh, I have this level of stress because I think the RSPCA is coming to my property. They're coming now. Every time a car goes past, it's the RSPCA. I don't like that in my life. Uh, so I will probably have to stop doing what I'm doing, which is breaking my heart, but I can't. Yeah, it's just, and as I was talking about the decision making process, I can't just question myself every time I'm rehabilitating an animal. I can't just keep questioning, did I make the right decision? Should I be doing this?
Or
Anyway,
being fearful of anything that you
being
do, which
fearful,
might get you
fearful.
into trouble.
I
Yeah,
know, and we're not doing. Yeah, it's mostly not doing,
yeah.
not doing, but not doing. Yeah, um, yeah. So I spoke to Frances after my visit from the RSPCA, and she explained to me that I was suffering from PTSD and suggested that I go see a psychologist. And I went and saw this wonderful psychologist, and she performed something called ED, eye movement. I wrote it down because I can't remember things. Eye movement desensitization, and it basically you do bilateral tapping and also eye movement, and it stops you having a physical reaction to memories. And it really, really worked with me, and I would highly recommend it for wildlife
Mm.
carers. Frances actually suggested it, and yeah, um, you need to get help for yourself and for the people around you as well, because I know with my partner, he watches me suffer, and he knows I'm going to see a really good therapist, and it makes me feel better, and I'm obviously better in myself, and it's good for him to see that,
Mm.
and makes me able to perform my job as a wildlife rescuer.
Yeah, it must have been really hard on both of you. I just
Oh,
can't
it
even
is
imagine
all of it,
and
all of it. He's very angry.
yeah.
He needs therapy. He needs therapy as well. I won't tell him that.
Well, I think everyone's really
Mm.
traumatized by the verdict,
We're all traumatized.
by the
Yeah,
potential, like, of what's happened to you, but
mm.
for the potential for it to happen to anyone, because it
Yeah,
seems now like no one's safe.
yeah. No one
So,
is safe. No.
yeah, it's really hard to know where this is going to go. But anyway, what else would you like to say, Tracy?
Um, I, I don't know. I don't know what I want to talk about. I'm not the expert on anything. I'm just recounting what's happened to me. And I know a lot of wildlife carers and what they suffer through, and financially, mentally. And I can't do anything about it. And I really think we should do better. And we should do
Yeah, I
better.
agree.
We should do better for the welfare of the animals as well,
Mm.
for all those poor animals that suffer.
Yeah, because ultimately, if we don't look after the carers, then the animals
Yeah.
can't be looked after.
Well,
So
exactly. Yeah.
we
I
need
know.
to start there and do a
Mm.
much better job of being
Yeah.
supportive and inclusive. And, like, I just, that's the thing that gets me about you and the fact that they had issues, but they didn't try and make
I'm
suggestions
an
about,
I'm an equanimous person. Like I don't get angry with people ever,
yeah,
and you can have a nice rational conversation with me.
yeah.
And and
So they could have just said,
but they could have just said,
would you take her back to
Tracy,
the vet and get her
take
reassessed, or
take her to take her to this vet or this
yeah,
vet, or the vet's coming to you. I would have just said fine.
yeah,
I was so happy to actually have an interaction with. That was the first time I've ever had an interaction with anyone from head office,
yeah, wow,
and to have an actual vet there. And I asked him about closed reduction in hip dislocations because I was interested in his opinion, but he wouldn't speak to me, because he was there to gather evidence, not to
not
speak
that
to
you
me.
knew that. Yep.
Not that I knew that at the time. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, they could have just said, "Let us help."
Yeah, what do you need?
What do you need? We're
Yeah,
a little bit concerned. If they were concerned, I don't know if they were concerned, or I don't know, because they just, I
just
don't know.
yeah, it's so
Mm.
so much wrong, and I just
Ah, yeah,
mm,
I
um
I feel sorry for I feel sorry for the animals now because we're euthanizing most. If we've got kangaroos that need care, we euthanize them. I say, was this whole area because there's nowhere for them to go. It's
because so
just,
many people have walked away from
yeah. Well, I'm not
the
doing it, so
role.
who else is going to do it? I'm not here to do it,
Yeah.
and there isn't anybody else. So they just get euthanized. People would quite happily learn, but they're too afraid. We're all too afraid. So yeah,
Wow.
it's just I just euthanized a little boy a little while ago, and given time, he would have been okay probably, but I don't know. It wasn't my decision, but I could have fought for him and said, "I'll take him, I'll fix him." But
Yeah.
he was euthanized. It breaks your heart.
Mm.
Anyway, I ask people to not stop asking me to help now because I can't not just say no.
Yeah, of course.
I just don't want to know. I just, yeah,
Mm.
walk away, go on a holiday, get another job, volunteer for someone else,
Yeah.
go and volunteer
It's
for a myriad of other places that like you, support you. Yeah.
mm. I think oh one thing I wanted to ask about was putting oh no, actually it doesn't matter. It's not relevant to now.
It
It's
doesn't matter.
fine.
No, no, no,
No. I'm
no.
just yeah. I
And
think
I think that another thing that a lot of people are angry and upset and fearful. And I think an important thing is to let the public know what we do. So if you want to write to your local paper and just write down we're volunteers and you've probably seen us, you've probably called us before. This is what we do. We don't get funding. And people don't understand that we're just this really, really important bit of society.
yeah.
And
And that it's a
and
24/7 thing
it's a
and
24/7 thing,
it's
and
grueling.
we don't have support and funding. And then
Yeah.
just maybe ask that, if you are donating to a large wildlife organisation, you might want to think about, is that money trickling down to wildlife carers? Would you be better off supporting a small a small
Well,
little wildlife group, or
that was going to be my
yeah,
last point, that
yeah,
I personally would not recommend that anyone support any of the larger wildlife groups, because
no,
I know that your money doesn't get where it needs
yeah,
to go,
we know that.
because I've
Yeah,
had hundreds of conversations with people over the last 5 years,
yeah,
and the best way to support people is to look up your local wildlife carer, shelter,
yeah, yeah.
whatever, and just give them a call or send them an email and say, what do you need? How can I help you? And they don't have to be a charity organization.
No, they don't.
You can
Yeah,
actually just offer to contribute, buying feed or
yeah.
milk or teats or
Oh,
whatever it
it's
might be,
not even a wildlife related item. It can actually just be help in other ways, because
Yeah, so
we're all
cook some meals
skin.
for people and
Yeah, or
do take their washing.
if you're a mechanic, maybe service their vehicle for them, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
There's
There are
myriad
so many
things
other
that,
ways, because you're
yeah,
spending your money on
yeah.
this,
We're spending our money
beautiful
on,
pursuit,
yeah,
but
and
other people could do so much
they can,
else
yeah,
to support the carers and the animals in their
mm,
care. And
yeah,
yeah, it's a great way to contribute.
yeah.
So yeah, think wisely when you're donating
Think
about
wisely.
who it's
Yeah,
going to.
do some research,
Yeah,
and yeah, just know that most very large organisations are very top heavy, and
yeah.
yeah,
And I think the other thing, going back to the mental health issues, it would be really good if people could put some pressure on somebody to get some funding for Wild Talk, because
yeah,
I think
I
there are,
know.
I don't know how many thousands of wildlife carers there are, carers and rescuers throughout the
Yeah,
country. But, Francis was supporting anyone
I know.
within Australia.
I know. Yeah,
That's a huge demographic.
it was. Yeah, and she kept a tally of how many of us committed suicide, and
Yes,
and it's a
there are,
frighteningly large number.
yeah.
And let's
And
not
the
talk
public
about that.
are, no, we
Mm.
won't,
No.
but it is an important point to raise, because a
Yeah.
lot of the public wouldn't be aware of that either.
Mm.
Um, you know, it's so
Yeah.
tragic
It
and
is so
so
tragic.
traumatizing.
Yeah, and we've all been touched by it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
But anything else you wanted to add,
No,
or have you
I,
had
I
enough?
don't. Oh no, it's good just chatting and workshopping some ideas.
Mm,
There's so many knowledgeable people out there that we need to connect and build a army.
that's what we're doing. It's happening.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
What about your legal fees? What's like,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Well, so
it,
I've been paying my barrister, every time he appears in court for me.
yep.
Um, so I'm all over that, and that's fine. Who knows what happens on the 9th of April? I may get a large fine, and I'll also have to pay for the RSPCA barrister and the solicitor. Um, so
Mm.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I've been squirreling it away.
Well,
It's not going anywhere.
if
Yeah.
anyone wants to help with that, can they?
No, I haven't. No, I don't want a crowdfunding. Wildlife carers
Yep.
are broke, and I know they will give to me,
Oh
and I
no,
don't want them
I'm
to.
talking about outside that
Well,
group, because it's always the wildlife carers who support each other. I know when we ask
I
for
know.
donations, but I'm just
It's
thinking if
awful.
anyone else outside wanted
No,
to.
I'd rather they give money to Possumwood, or to,
Okay.
someone who's actually helping kangaroos.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
there? Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Um,
We had a bit of a bumpy start.
I know. Sorry about that. That was entirely my fault, because
No,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
not experienced with this,
Oh
clearly.
no,
But anyway,
we did well in the
um,
end. Yeah.
I'm glad that we
Yeah.
got to discuss what we
Yeah.
did, and thank you again for actually agreeing to do it, because I know, it's a really impossible time for you,
Yeah.
and we're all, around you. Um,
Yeah.
you have so much support and so much love coming your way,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're super sad to hear that you might not be
I
doing this
won't. I
anymore, but
know. I know I
completely
won't be.
understand why.
Yeah. I know. I know. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's a season of my life, and it's over, and all that knowledge is still in my head. So you can still ask me questions.
Yes, so you can still share that way, which is great.
Definitely will.
Yeah. Maybe you need to write a book, Trace.
Linda's already written the best book, so we can't do any better than
no,
Linda
I'm talking
Staker.
about your experience, though. I'm talking about your story.
Oh my God. I thought you meant like the big book of macropod knowledge.
Oh no, I'm talking about your story and it's a very compelling one. But anyway, much love to you, and
now it's just waffling on. Yeah, thank you for all your support, Sarah. And you're not in you don't work in the wildlife care field, and you've made this a huge part of your life, and we all appreciate it. Your advocacy is very much appreciated.
Yeah,
and it's interesting having someone who isn't in the wildlife care community speaking out for us. So, thank you.
Yeah, well, there are advantages to not being involved in it and being able to say whatever you like, so it's kind of good. But look, we're thinking of you next month. Everyone will be following.
Thank you.
And we're here for you to chat whenever, and
thank you.
support you through it in whatever way we can. And I know you've got good support locally.
I do.
But
a most amazing friend network. It's fantastic.
But know that you've got support across the country and beyond.
Yeah.
And we're all absolutely with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.